Okay, this is the point where we're going to kick it off. And when I mean kick it off, I mean kick it off. I'm going to kick. Welcome. Welcome, everyone. All of you with your alcoholic beverages and your tinkling glasses. You may have a seat in the auditorium. You are allowed to bring your drinks in the auditorium in case that was a question nagging at the back of your mind. So, my name is Paul Moore. I am the marketing director for Start Garden. And thank you. So this is update night that you have arrived at. And I think that we can introduce a little bit. I'm going to get into a little bit about what Start Garden is all about and what update night is all about, just so everybody in the room is oriented in a moment. However, there's something very, 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 very special and dear to my heart that is happening very soon. Some of you may know that twice a week we will, I should actually say, 2 ideas each week we will fund at $5,000. Does everyone know that? Yeah? Nodding of heads. Thank you. Does everyone know that at update night, you may have heard that by the end of the night we will probably be funding a project or two at the $20,000 level or higher? Yes? Hey, all right. Our presenters are very excited about that. I want to stress, though, and I stress this every time, what we do is we don't just invest money. We think any good investment is a combination of financial capital, social capital, and intellectual capital. So a lot of what we do with the teams, in fact, I'll often say one of the least valuable things we invest is the money that we're investing. We're trying to connect them to people across the region and businesses that can help them with things that they don't know or make connections that they don't have, anything to sort of advance them forward. That was one of our big learnings from 5x5 Night, which is an event we previously did, is that the people that they met in the audience here tonight, that means all of you, were oftentimes more helpful to advancing a project or an idea than just the money at the end of the night. So, to that end, you guys ready for this? There's a big thing coming. How many of you know that Start Garden has a space that we will be moving into? Yes? All right. This space is really all about the intellectual and social capital. I'm going to back away from the screen because something's about to happen. Are you ready for this? Boom! Look at that. Isn't that awesome? It's built into my Mac computer. I'm going to do it again. Go! Love it. Thank you. September 14 is the opening of 50 Lewis. Let's see, where in there are we going to be? Right there. This is the storefront where we will be on the ground level. It's under construction right now. The whole point is to create, I think Garrett may have coined clubhouse, or maybe we coined the word clubhouse. It was that guy, Rick, apparently. Rick DeVos coined the word clubhouse for all of this, all of these sort of connections and this intellectual, capital that we're trying to build. So classes will go on in here. In the day, it can be like more of a cafe space to take meetings. Our funded projects can meet with us there. They can meet with other people there. I think there will be memberships online for other people that may not be a funded project but want to be in this space. It's not so much for co-working, but it's more for things like this, where we're getting together. We'll do events like this. It will flex into sort of like an auditorium where we'll do this event. So in case you're wondering, that's going to be September 27th, I believe. This event, a month from now, will be in this space. And yeah, we're going to ramp up our programming. It's going to be terribly exciting. So don't miss September 14th with the grand opening day. This massive grand opening will begin with lunch at noon. However, it will be lunch with Rick and maybe a guest or two to talk about the whole purpose of the space, why we conceived of it as something that was really vital to this whole effort in the first place, and what we expect to do with it. At 2 p.m., we will have a mentor meetup. Okay, so this is something we're going to start doing in this space, where a lot of our mentors and people in the community are specialists and experts. They said, hey, I could spend an afternoon in your space, and just people could come in and talk to me about their project that they're working on, and I can give them advice and help them along. So if Reindeer Cam has questions about intellectual property law and do they actually own the reindeer, you can talk to our intellectual property lawyer who's hanging out there. So to start that program off, we're going to do, I believe on the events page, it's called the Super Mentor and Entrepreneur Meetup Extravaganza. I should have added more words to that, but the point is to get as many people in the space as possible. So there's actually, I think, as of today, 38 mentors that will be there at 2 p.m. on September 14th. We've invited all of our teams to come in, and we've invited all of you, the public, to come as well. So that won't be how we do it in the future. It'll be more toward the membership or the funded projects that can come. But to kick it off, we invite all of you to come and just check out what is this mentor meetup? What does it mean? What's happening after that? Dinner, so that you can stay fed. Dinner will also be kind of a happy hour. There'll be drinks, things like that. It's a walking dinner. We don't have a dining room. And at 6:30, we'll do interviews. So our entrepreneur in residence, Benjamin Gott, who works at Start Garden, he used to do an event right here, I think, called DEC. It was just this cool format of interviewing people for like 10 or 12 minutes, and just people doing interesting stuff around town. I think yours was more design focused, but this one's going to be more focused on entrepreneurs. So we'll interview Anya Moss from Trillion Haven Restaurant, which is a new restaurant that has recently, I guess you might say, pivoted from a community-supported agricultural farm. It's a massive pivot. It's probably just a new business. But anyway, we're going to talk to her about that. We're going to talk to Molly Kloss, who runs the Silver Spork food truck, who is at the center of this gripping debate in Grand Rapids about food truck legislation. And we're also going to talk to Sam Cummings, who actually owns the building, but is also somebody who's pretty articulate about the city and the development and where it's going and the business community. We'll talk to Ryan Lambay, who owns Lamb Store, and she's a fascinating little case study in retail. And doesn't talk that much, so this is going to be your chance to see her in public. And lastly, Carl Erickson from Atomic Object, who has built a software development company from scratch. So we'll be doing that in the evening, and then after that, karaoke. It will have been a long day, and we will want to have drinks and sing karaoke. And there's a little caveat, and it's kind of joking, tongue-in-cheek, but really, we do discourage video of karaoke because it's always awkward to wake up the next day and pull up your Facebook page and see yourself singing karaoke. Anyway, that's September 14th. All those things you can RSVP to at startgarden.com/events, and on with the evening. So, Start Garden, what is Start Garden? Why do we do it? This is basically our sort of framework for why we did it. We know that Michigan is a place where innovation is ready to happen. It's a great place to start businesses. We ourselves have no idea what those innovations or those businesses should be. So rather than trying to predict them, we finally decided to just launch as many as possible at a small level, the ideas. So this is the $5,000 investments. We'll do over 100 each year. And then from there, some of them will move on to this validation phase where they will start to realize if they actually can become a startup. This, I would say, creation is more the startup realm where you're starting to realize you've got a viable business on your hands. And then the point is to hopefully scale a handful of these hundreds of ideas that we will fund way back here to create a new generation of businesses, I guess, in the region. How do we do that? This is basically it. So again, twice a week, $5,000 goes out. From there, we can fund $20,000, $100,000, $500,000. Tonight's event, this update night, is right there, sort of. The 7 presenters here tonight will be telling you what they did with their investment, what they've been up to for the past few months, what they've learned as a result of what they've worked on for the past few months. And just to be clear, our team, the Start Garden team, this is not news for us. All of these teams we've been in communication with, and we've tried to understand as much as possible what they've been up to. So tonight's presentation is really for you, to catch all of you up on what they've been up to. And then, in the second part of the evening, we will give these teams feedback from the stage and let them know whether or not we are going to continue funding at the $20,000 level. How does that laser work? Is that kind of tacky? I'm going to stop using it. It's a laser. Lasers are awesome no matter what. Engineers in the audience. Okay. So real quick, Start Garden, we are not in this alone. This effort is not all just us that you will meet here tonight on the team, all of us wearing the yellow lanyards. We consider what we're doing maybe at the hub, particularly socially at the hub of a larger ecosystem that is full of mentors that actually help our investments along. In fact, we often call ourselves a concierge service for startups because we're usually just connecting them to the knowledge and the people and the investment that they need. There's corporate partners like Amway and Steelcase and Wolverine and a whole slew of other people that help us out. Companies, I should say, that help us out. There's vendors that we tend to use. There's resources, other investors that we try to connect to these things too. So this is about really this entire room, this entire city, getting behind new ideas and new projects in a way that is, I don't know, more aggressive, we'll say. Which brings us to tonight. That's what tonight's all about. The reason that we get up here and we tell you what we're thinking about and why we've decided to continue to fund an idea is to do it very open and very publicly and for the entire community to get in and learn and make decisions on what you want to do. Thanks a lot, Guy. Anyway, I'm just kidding, I don't care. But to do as much as we do openly and publicly on the website or in a live situation like this so that the whole city can get involved in these investments and helping them along. The main questions tonight: desirable, feasible, viable. We know that $5,000 will not launch a company, so we ask these teams to go out and do an experiment. The experiment will usually result in letting them know whether or not it's desirable. Do people want the peanut butter I am inventing? Is it feasible? Can I actually invent peanut butter with the technology that exists today? Or is it viable? Can I sell peanut butter for more than what it costs me to make for it? Most of the experiments usually center around desirable when the ideas are at the very earliest stages. Just FYI. So this is the basic rollout of the evening. We will do presentations, 7 presentations, really fast. Around 6:30, we'll head back out there for an intermission. You can have a drink. It's about a 20-minute intermission. You can come back in here. And then for about 20 minutes, Start Garden team will give feedback and inform the teams whether or not we have decided to continue funding their project. So before we get rolling, I would like to invite a very special human being to the stage. Max Barnes. Where are you? Now, Max Barnes has been helping us on a very wicked piece of design, which is how do you make a contract for something as weird as what we do, which is the $5,000 funding each week. Max is one of our chief architects behind that, and Miller Johnson is underwriting this whole event. So you have a drink ticket, perhaps? Or maybe you use your drink ticket? I won't say that Miller Johnson bought you a drink, because I got in trouble for that before, but I will say that the generosity of Miller Johnson has helped you all have a drink tonight. Shall I?
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, everybody, for coming out tonight. Miller Johnson's very excited to sponsor the event this evening. Start Garden is truly an exciting, new, innovative, and very ambitious program which is focused on building and cultivating an entrepreneurial ecosystem here in West Michigan, and one that's desperately needed. And Miller Johnson is fully committed to that effort. For those of you who may not be familiar with us, Miller Johnson is a locally based full-service law firm. We have about 90 attorneys, but probably more relevant for the audience tonight, myself and several other attorneys at the firm, spend a lot of our time working with entrepreneurs and startups and dealing with their legal needs. We help them with anything from forming legal entities, drafting documents, shareholder agreements, operating agreements among the owners, non-disclosure agreements, confidentiality agreements, employee-related issues if they arise, and maybe most importantly to a startup, raising capital. And to that point, we think we do a really good job of trying to work with our clients, come up with common sense and cost-effective solutions to their legal needs. In fact, for those participants who actually receive funding from Start Garden, we're prepared to offer a variety of services at no charge or at heavily discounted rates so that those entrepreneurs, so those guys can spend their time, effort, and money on developing the business and not on legal issues and legal fees. So, the goal again is to build an ecosystem here, and Start Garden may be the engine that's driving that train, but it's going to take all of us, the community, to support and show commitment to that. And we just wanted to let everybody know Miller Johnson's on board, and that's probably enough for the law firm plug. I know nobody came here to hear from me, so we thank Start Garden for what they're doing. We appreciate it, and we support them. Thanks.
Oh, isn't it awesome? Isn't it awesome, the ecosystem getting behind these things? Okay, so I guess we are ready to get into the evening. But before we do that, I want to thank all the presenters here tonight. Okay, regardless of what happens, what decision the Start Garden team makes, for the past few months, these teams have taken a little bit of money and a few connections and a lot of motivation, and they've run the gamut of trying to figure out if their idea or their business can become something bigger than what they would like it to be. Bigger than an idea. They went beyond thinking about doing something to doing something, and that always, I think, requires a round of applause. Yes? All right, so it's going to go like this tonight. Intawani. Intawani is an idea for a women's clothing brand that started with, can we custom tailor through a website new clothes that have fabrics and styles that are pulled from around the globe to introduce new looks and new variety into fashion. Sing Song Yoga will come after Intawani, and am I pronouncing this right? Yeah. Intawani. Sorry. Sing Song Yoga will come after Intawani, and Sing Song Yoga is a series of videos that literally will help children learn yoga through singing them into the various poses that yoga provides. Design a Dream comes after Sing Song Yoga. Design a Dream is a new service as far as wedding dress business goes, where the bride can actually try on prototyped pieces to assemble a dress physically on her to find the most flattering fit, the most flattering figure, and then custom make the dress for an affordable price. I kind of dig that idea. Regular Coffee comes after that. So Regular Coffee is called Regular Coffee because coffee is now awesome, and it's easier to make awesome coffee, so awesome should be the new regular. And Regular Coffee believes that each month, you should just pay a fee, and the coffee should be delivered to your door, and it will be awesomely regular. Anyway, Reindeer Cam is a couple young entrepreneurs launched last Christmas a website where a live stream of reindeer. Is it okay if I tell them where they are? They're in Caledonia, not the North Pole. A live stream of reindeer can be accessed at any time through reindeercam.com. Within 10 days, they had something like 1.2 million visits to the website. Kind of intrigued us. And the school is a program that's developed by Jose Caballero, who is visiting us from Los Angeles tonight. I should mention both Brandy, who is behind Intawani, and Jose behind the school. They are both visiting us from out of state. Brandy from North Carolina, Jose from Los Angeles. Yeah. Thank you. So the school is something that Jose has turned from a service that he used to provide in a web design firm that worked for some pretty big clients. The idea was basically, can I take what I've learned in the service and turn it into a product that is instructional for people that want to learn this process around the world, particularly entrepreneurs as a focus for Jose. And lastly, hopefully GR Greens is running a little late, but he's here? All right. All right, we're going to hear from GR Greens tonight. And GR Greens is looking into how to maximize yield within a greenhouse by building things more vertically and being able to produce year-round crops here in Michigan, which I'm sure most of you can imagine. It's difficult to produce a year-round crop because it gets cold and dark. All right. So let's start with Brandy and Intawani.
Hi. So I'm going to jump right in because the clock is running. So the hypothesis that we tested was that American women are ready for a new brand of fashion, that women would want a preference to go on a website, select the style of dress they want, choose the fabric they want, enter their measurements, and voila, have a custom-made garment. So in order to test our hypothesis, we enlisted a web developer to help us build the website. We enlisted some seamstresses to hand sew the dress, all here in the US, and a pattern drafter to custom make the patterns for us for the garments. And what we found, we tested two things with the people that we invited. We invited 12 people, which we called our style muses. We asked them to test our website, and then once they received their garment, to give us feedback on the garment. So the first part was feedback on the website. We asked them, how easy was it for you to put together your garment and measurements using the Create tools? Overwhelmingly, everyone said that it was pretty easy for them to do that. Overall, are you satisfied with our website? Pretty much everyone is extremely satisfied with the process. And a quote from one person is, the part that you look forward to the most on the site is the prints. Looking at pictures of the different fabrics is the best part. In regards to measurements, it's often awesome the garments are custom made, but it also may present a problem for women. So that was something that we found, not just from this person who gave us this quote, but from a few other people. They got scared when it came time to enter their measurements. They love going and clicking around and putting together garments with different fabrics and different options, but then they clicked through, they got to the part where they had to enter their measurements, and they said, oh no, I don't know what to do. I'm gonna turn around and walk away. So one of the things that we're looking at doing going forward is having an option where you can still select the type of garment you want, select the fabrics you want, but that you just pick a size that you want it in. And it will still be custom made, but it won't be custom tailored to your body. It will be handmade when you like it in the style that you want, but you're gonna just pick a size as if you were going in the store and picking it off the rack. So what did people think of their garments? These are actual garments that we made for women, and here are some of the responses that we got. I should note that thus far, only 3 people have received their garments. We're still awaiting feedback from 3 more people, so we have about 50% of the results on the garments. Was your garment accurately constructed to the measurements you provided? 67% yes, 33% no. Was the quality of your garment better, worse, or what you expected? As expected, which is really good, considering the fact that you're getting something handmade. People, don't know how it's going to turn out. And did the price accurately reflect the benefits of the garment? Unique fabric, ability to customize and custom tailor to your body. 67% no, 33% yes, and we know what some of those issues were that swayed those results. But overall, we received the comment of the quality of the workmanship is amazing. Every seam is nicely finished. The gathering is even. The straps have little adjusters on them. Very nice. And this is one of our style muses modeling her garment. So moving forward, we're looking, as I said, we're looking at taking a slight pivot, still offering the custom tailored garments, but having an option for those women who are a little bit skittish about entering their measurements. And our next step would be to create patterns and drafts for the sizes so that women can just go on the website and click the sizes. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Brandy. Next up is Deb Weiss-Gelmi with Sing Song Yoga.
Hi. When my daughter was preschool age, we searched for local children's yoga classes or a good yoga video and found neither. So with my experience as a school teacher, with my degree in child development, and with my years in yoga, I created Sing Song Yoga, a kids' musical yoga program in which song lyrics instruct children how to get into the poses. In 2008, I started teaching the class locally, and in 2009, we produced our first Sing Song Yoga DVD. Since then, we've sold the better half of 1,000 DVDs in 8 different countries, and 93% of our surveyed parents found benefit in their children from doing the DVD and recommend it to others. And this is where Start Garden comes in. Sales that occurred prior to this month happened on a website that could not be found on search engines. People found us by word of mouth and on YouTube. So our hypothesis is, if we build a brand new professional website and put some professional search engine optimization behind it and pay-per-click advertising, then sales will increase. And we're thrilled to confirm our hypothesis, as we've seen significant results from just a very brief amount of time that SEO analyst Joel Leo has worked on the site with some pay-per-click advertising. As we compare the time that he worked on the site, comparing it to the month before, we see that visit to the sites went from 204 to 639. Unique visitors went from 85 to 438, and page views went from 387 to over 1,200. And we're also very excited to report that August sales show a 500% increase over our sales in May, and 167% increase over our sales in each of June and July. Joel found that 10 people, out of 10 people that enter the site from the search engines, one person buys the DVD, and he suggests that doing some SEO work on the new site will double our traffic. So where do we go from here? Yoga is one of 10 fastest growing industries in the United States whose revenue is expected to increase over the next 5 years to $8.3 billion annually. There's not only room for sing-song yoga in the industry, but it fills a unique void for kids, with the music being especially brain-friendly. We will continue to sell online, but we'll also expand to using distributors to make our reach even further. We're just beginning our work in elementary schools, where our curriculum is currently being sold through the publisher. And as yoga instructors are being trained to teach our program throughout the United States, you'll see sing-song yoga classes pop up in the United States and beyond. Thank you to Kim and Ben and the Start Garden team. Thank you to Matt Ginnup and Joel Leo for your awesome work on the website. And thank you to TJ Eckert from Miller Johnson for your work on our trademark. Thanks so much.
So, Joel Leo is actually here tonight. His name popped up at the last event. If you want to get to know him, ask one of the Start Garden team. He works magic with websites. So, next up is Design a Dream with Shannon Gales. And Shannon's... Shannon's an unconventional woman who does not believe in slides. She's going to, or the power, no, you believe in it, but it's all right. We're going dark.
$60 billion were spent in the wedding industry in 2011. Hi, I'm Shannon Gales, owner of View Design, where we create and produce custom wedding gowns. You can actually visit us right down the street in the shops of Modiv, and the incubator space is there. The statistic I just shared with you was taken from a survey of 19,000 couples and what they spent during 2011 by The Knot, a leading resource in the wedding industry. Of that $60 billion, $3.3 billion spent on the wedding gowns. And approximately $58 million of that was on custom and handmade gowns. So, here's the problems that we were testing over the past few months. Brides, first of all, don't understand what's involved in the custom process. Second of all, they don't always know what looks best on them, therefore, they try on numerous gowns, trying to find the perfect one. Then the third is the enormous amount of inventory and expense that boutique owners invest in annually. Both customers are in search of the perfect gown. Design a Dream is the solution to these issues within the industry. Fast forward, if you will, with me and pretend, 8 months to a year from now, we are in beloved Bridal of Norman, Oklahoma, where Lindsay, the boutique owner, is working with her bride in the Design a Dream system. You're observing the process that's involved in determining what is truly best gown for her and for her body type. The bride gets to actually experience her own gown, creating it by mixing and matching the pieces. And as you will see, the options are endless. Lindsay, once the two of them decide what's appropriate, then submits the order for production with View Design. What you're seeing right now are just a few of the 35 prototypes that the complete system will have, which we've used our $5,000 to sketch, design, and are continuing to build. The logistics of the design, securing materials, and production of these prototype pieces are what we've been investing in over the past few months. And all this while continuing to service our current clients during peak wedding season. So let me just tell you, sleep can be really overrated. We've also used social media and those who visit our retail space to create a buzz and desire to engage with this system, trying it on brides and tweaking pieces where they need it. We've also reached out to the numerous industry professionals for their feedback and suggestions. We continue to test the functionality of the completed pieces that are hanging on display in the studio. Here's the planned events that we have so far. Just last week, we had a shopping event at Modiv, a lady shopping event, where the concept was shown, demonstrated to approximately 50 women. Room with a View bridal event in partnership with Uptown Kitchen will be held September 21st and 22nd, where the entire 35-piece collection will be debuted. This event is being sponsored by Women's Lifestyle magazine, who's also doing a story on us, and Local First is also contributing in that way and helping to promote the event. We'll be attending the Chicago Bridal Market to research the exhibitors and make connections with the salon owners. We've also added a marketing intern to take over social media, advertising in the Uptown event. And then we're also working on a New York bridal market, mid-October, with Design a Dream to launch it to boutique owners. The results of the research and design thus far are driving us forward to what's ahead. Specific capital, facility, equipment, marketing, and staffing needs really are crucial to launch the success for this system, as is the New York market. My Design a Dream system has actually come to life. From a concept to now a system that can impact and revolutionize the wedding industry and how brides shop for their dream gowns. The retail space will house the Design a Dream system and impact local brides. However, other salon owners utilizing the economic benefits of this system will also impact brides all over. In growing View Design production, we also will create new jobs, compete with the offshore market through our system, our quality, and then our commitment to timely production. Just a really quick thank you to those of you in the audience who are family and friends. Your support to all of us presenting and our businesses, we can't say enough about that. To professionals who've walked alongside us, supporting and encouraging us, but also asking the really hard questions, we thank you. And then obviously Start Garden, the team, the opportunity you've given us and the connections you've made, it's remarkable. The ripple effect in the community is what it's all about, so thank you.
That was different. And you win an A for capturing attention, I think. So why did I come and stand on the stage? She was going over time. I'm like ladies in bridal dresses. Hello. It's a nonverbal cue to wrap it up. Okay, regular coffee. Kurt Stauffer. This will have a video within the presentation. Just a quick warning to our sound booth gentlemen.
Hi, my name is Kurt Stauffer. I am president of Roaster Coffee on Wealthy Street. We are a micro roaster of extreme quality coffee. We have a tasting bar, we do wholesale, we do retail, education, and we spend a lot of time and energy making great coffee. That's what we love to do. A year ago, we participated in an industry event where we competed against other roasters around the world to see who the best roaster is. And we were fortunate enough to be on the winning team against roasters from literally every country pretty much around the world that roast coffee. So that was an awesome experience, and at that event we met another company that you've probably never heard of. I'm not going to mention the name because it won't even matter. And they mentioned to us that they roasted in the previous month 1 million pounds of coffee. And we just were like, are you kidding me? We roast 3,000 pounds a month, maybe, on a great month. So we're so micro. We just do little tiny quantities. And but we got excited about that idea. It's not that we necessarily want to roast 1 million pounds, but just bringing quality down to the masses. One of the things that that we wanted to do with our Start Garden money was find out, is there a demand for, and can Grand Rapids deliver on the promise of amazing coffee, not from the top, but brought it down to the middle where most people exist and buy coffee. So what we did is we first started out by creating an awesome package that would replace all of us. Every single bean we sell is the result of a relationship, and there's a lot of personal interaction that goes into that, and a lot of work and a lot of time and energy. So we designed an awesome package using somebody that some of these folks here might be familiar with. This was designed by Neil, who also did the boxed water package. Then we created a little informational stop animation piece for our Kickstarter campaign.
So, I had this idea. This coffee filter, or mountain if you will, represents the entire coffee market. Bad coffee is grown at the bottom of the mountain, and as you climb, the quality gets better. Roaster New American Coffee is a living, breathing laboratory, an expression of the highest possible quality. We pay top prices for rare coffees grown on small farms at the top of the mountain. And it costs even more for the advanced roasting, packaging, and brewing equipment. Not to mention hiring employees and training them to stay on top of the latest roasting and brewing methods. It gets pretty expensive and complicated. In the middle of the mountain, you find the biggest, most recognizable brands. They've made their mark by finding the sweet spot between quality and quantity. So what if we take all the excellence and passion we put into roaster coffee and invade the sweet spot? What if we made getting high-quality coffee easier at a regular price? What if we delivered high-quality coffee to you, the regular person, on a regular basis, in a package that was regular? What if we called that company Regular Coffee? A company that brings the desired hyper-quality down to the masses where true commerce happens. Where we can serve not 10 or 100 or 1,000 people amazing coffee, but 10,000, 100,000, even 1 million. What if regular became the new awesome?
Sorry, I went a little long, but we also produced a short that I have a little sneak peek of to show you here. So that will be released soon. So anyhow, I guess in closing, the hypothesis at this point is Grand Rapids capable of producing a brand and all the materials necessary in the product to have make a product that can go on a national scale? And we think so. We're really excited about it, so thank you very much.
There is a co-founder team, Adam Lovelace and Drew Wesley of Reindeer Cam. Adam Lovelace will be presenting tonight.
All right, my name is Adam Lovelace, and that strapping young man down there is Drew Bourne, and together we are the co-creators of ReindeerCam.com. Get this thing going here. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to explain to you guys how you can make money off putting reindeer on the internet, so strap in. So last year we set out on a mission. We wanted to prove that there was demand for our product, and so that was really all that we cared about. That was our laser focus. And then by December 15th, we got this huge influx of people going to the website, and then by December 25th, we had over 600,000 unique visitors in 10 days. So we got demand nailed down. The next part is we need to start making some money, and that's kind of where, well, that's me. That's where this piece comes in. So we had to test stuff, and obviously that was a big part of this program was to test things. So we sold these t-shirts. just these t-shirts to get whatever information that we could get on those. And here's what we learned. We learned that you can make about 13 cents revenue or about 7 cents profit per unique visitor to our website. We just compared the amount of people that went there to the amount of people, the amount of shirts that we sold, we get that number. If we take the numbers from last year, which was a little over 600,000 unique visitors between the 15th and the 25th, we extrapolate that backwards to October, November, then it's perfectly reasonable to think that we might be reaching out to 3 million people next year. So that's where those next numbers come in. So it's a potential revenue, potential profit of somewhere around $250,000. So even if it's a little bit less than that, it's still not bad for merchandising. The next piece is the RDC app. So this really isn't an experiment per se. This is actually just a reanalysis of the numbers. Excuse me. When we looked at it, what we realized was that we had over 70,000 people getting on Apple iDevices. I mean, there's probably, well, there's 200 people in this room. There's probably 198 iPhones. Well, that's an issue because we have flash-based video players. So is it an issue or is it actually a good thing? Because what we can do is effectively sell, am I over? No, we can sell the app itself. And we're looking at doing that for $1.99. We have OST currently developing the app. And if we look at the 70,000, we extrapolate it backwards using the same formula that we did to get to the 3 million. We're looking at 350,000 to 500,000 people that are going to be hitting our website. And that website's going to say, hey, you need to get the app if you want to see the cameras. And we think if we can get just 25% of the people to buy in on this, we're looking at another 6-figure profit on that as well. So there are the numbers, cut over. So basically, I mean, the future looks really good. What did I do? I don't even know what I did right now. Basically, we've got the minimally viable app. It's undergoing development. We've got OST working on it. I'm sorry, by the way, to Universal Mind. You guys are awesome, too. Charity partnership. We've been working on that stuff. Corporate sponsors, donations. We're still rocking a lot of the same things that we were last year. But essentially, this year, it's all about making money. The last piece that I want to do is I just kind of want to thank everybody. I want to thank the other gladiators that showed up today to compete in the Start Garden event. I want to thank Start Garden specifically. This is just a crazy opportunity. I love having a microphone, getting to stand in front of large crowds. So, thank you.
All right. Guess who else loves having a microphone? So Jose Caballero is going to come up and do the school. I want to just say Jose's presentation will involve 39 slides. But I was at Jose's workshop last night, and I watched him do a branding workshop in 3 hours, what would probably take 9 hours for anyone else to do. So I am fully confident that he's going to hit his time. So Jose, please join us.
Thank you so much, Paul. Hello, my name is Jose, and I'm a web designer. And my goal tonight is to present to you what is the school, what is the hypothesis, and what have I learned, all in 3 minutes or less. The school is an education movement. We teach the standard system for building successful online businesses. It's 3 models. So we have workshops, subscription, and kits that you can download. The subscription is to videos and downloads. Hypothesis number 1 is that I believe that entrepreneurs, freelancers, agencies, and people changing careers are willing to pay to learn the standard system to build their startups or their digital agency, et cetera. Here's some of the people that are already part of the school, or members, or as we call them, schoolmates. Switching careers from radiology software to design agency, I had a real problem figuring out the framework. I was trying to figure out what to do. An economic downturn, I was switching from manufacturing to web design. I came to the school really not knowing anything. I would have never known where to start. That's an entrepreneur from New Jersey. But to be fair, I'm sorry, from Jacksonville, Florida. We officially started testing in February of this year, actually, in February of 2012. But we started a year before building an audience and building a movement during a show called This Week in Web Design in Los Angeles. And then in February, we, on the show, launched the school. How many of you have actually seen the show or been to the school workshops last night? A few of you. Can I get a woohoo? There you go. Amen. So Do we have revenue from the experiments that we've done to date? Yes, we have. That started in February all the way to our numbers, latest numbers in July, and numbers for August are not in yet. So we've seen substantial growth, and now the key is what's coming next. So this is for the visual people that didn't understand the numbers. So how did you use your $5,000? Hypothesis number 2. We wanted to introduce $19 and $35 options to our subscription. We used that money to do the design, and I'm proud to announce that today, and I can show you guys afterwards, we launched a new subscription about an hour ago, and it's available. So those of you that were at the workshop last night, go ahead and subscribe and give me your money. Thank you. So this is what it looked like before. Here's what it looks like now, so a lot nicer to read. Before, now. What we're doing next, we're right here, and now we're going to go to the next phase, which is now beginning to validate and grow and scale, now that we have the product and we've shot over 25 episodes. So help me prove my second hypothesis, please. Here's some of the things that people have said. So insightful and so inspiring, it's hard to believe that people don't manage without it from Israel. The process I've learned has given me the confidence. Stephanie Schechter, from an industrial designer from Providence, Rhode Island. The school has tripled my revenue. It's life-changing from New Jersey. That's Dave Cohen. So the school rocks. Please sign up. The school rocks again. Please do it. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. You guys rock. And the last thing, I actually had, last night, people write letters to you, Kim, and to the Start Garden team, and I have about 6 or 7 letters from the people. I have 28 seconds left. Did I give my promise? All right. I'm just going to walk over.
This crowd is bringing the show. Okay. Lastly, GR Greens from Luke Richard. Go ahead and come up. We're running a little behind, but we'll address that in a minute. Luke Richard.
Yeah, it's pronounced Richard, just FYI. It's French. So over the past 3 years, I've built this company, GR Greens, and it's a small vertical hydroponic producer that operates out of Cedar Springs, and it really, everyone I sell to, and I sell out all the time, says, that they're the best strawberries and produce that they've ever tasted. Basically, the farm has about 700 to 800 of these stackers that grows about 20 plants each, and there's there's outdoor production in the greenhouse as well as outdoor production just outside doing strawberries and all sorts of things. So the question is, the question I proposed with the initial 5,000 along with, considerable work and effort on my own part was, is Grand Rapids receptible to a small hydroponic farm? And the answer was undoubtedly yes, but it's complicated. Agriculture is an incredibly capital-intensive and just overall labor-intensive endeavor. So having a VC fund or a fund in general to support GR Greens in general would be incredible. I sell out all the time. This is one row of 14 on the farm that produces strawberries, produces profit, produces revenue, and it's moved to market weekly in a profitable, advantageous way. There's just no way that I can continue on, sadly speaking, to a next season. That's where Start Garden comes in, is to support me through the next season and the seasons throughout, potentially in terms of the Grand Rapids community and throughout. Because there's definitely, when you look at like Visor and all the major farms in the area, they're growing tired somewhat. And there is a massive opportunity. You mentioned Trillium in the beginning of the presentation. Trillium moved from being a small farm to a restaurant to being kind of a fixture.
check, check. Check, check.
And to have,
Check, check, check.
for this endeavor would really, it really says a lot about your willingness to support Grand Rapids businesses. And that's really why I'm here, is to represent what Grand Rapids is demanding and what the entrepreneurs in Grand Rapids are providing. And that's kind of the immediate relationship to what GeoGreens can provide to the community. So I look forward to hearing from your response. And I would just want to thank everyone at the Grand Rapids community and everything for everything that they've provided. That's an inside look at the greenhouse, just FYI. Thanks. Have a good one.
Okay, that is it. It is 6:31 now, and I think we'll take about a 15-20 minute break. You can go to the lobby, have a drink, mingle, commiserate. Please talk to our presenters tonight who have their stuff out there. Talk to them about what they're doing. We'll be back in here at 10 till 7. Thank you. Check, check.
Testing 1, 2. 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 Testing 1, 2.
Hello, hello, hello. Can you hear me in the lobby? Raise your hand if you can hear this voice in the lobby. Yeah? Good? Two, go? All right. Please make your way back to the auditorium for the second half of Update Night, or the second part. It's 10 till 7. Please make your way back to the auditorium. Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Oh, thank you. Thank you. All right.
It used to always It did. It's just so noisy out there you couldn't hear it. You want to put Ben over there?
Yes, but not tonight because it's already got somebody on there.
This is my notes.
Should
If
we
I
have-
forget, I'm gonna say.
Please make your way back to the auditorium.
On the table? I'm thinking I'm going to. Yeah.
Good, good. What is your name again? Ricardo. Good to see you again. I gotta get all these folks back.
Well, I'm just saying, this is right here.
Please return to the auditorium. Yeah, well,
Crap, I heard my notes.
because
This is how I prepare. So I had like 5 people come up to me and thank me for my comments at the conference today. So that was good.
Oh, wow.
Wow, what'd I say?
Mike, yours, the only way to switch it off, or to mute it is to turn it off, which is the button on the bottom. Otherwise, you're on the whole time.
So just stay away from it. Got it. And don't say anything. Don't say anything.
Until you actually...
Yeah, I gotcha. I'll watch my sidebar commentary. Special thanks to Joe Lampin. I put him around the corner here, Ben. Hey, Rick, can you kick it off by singing the little little Meat Cat song? Kick it off with a little you know the Meat Cat song?
Please take your seat in the auditorium. You may bring your beverage.
I showed that video to my kids last night. They were dying. That was so random. Exactly. My question is, I wanted to watch it last night. It's like, how did he memorize that to the word? And why is he using memory for that?
Please take a seat here in the auditorium. Take a seat, y'all.
Laura Vaughn.
You may bring your beverages to your chair. We are going to start with the second portion of the evening. So real quick, what you're about to see, preview. This is the Start Garden team. We will give feedback to the presenters of this evening, and this is very important because it's going to help you make sense of some of the answers that are delivered in a few minutes. Each one of these presenters will get an answer tonight based on the feedback of yes, we are interested in continuing to fund your project. No, Start Garden will not continue to fund your project. Or maybe later. What is a maybe later? Why would we maybe later it? There's 2 reasons. One, it may be clear that the experiment is not done. Right? I mean, they get scheduled to come here. Some experiments may take longer than others. That's fine. But if they're showing great progress, we would probably say maybe later. Another reason is that maybe they finished their experiment, but it's very clear that their next step is not a $20,000 next step. They have other steps that they can do to learn more about their business before the $20,000 next step. Does that make sense to everybody? Yes, no, maybe later? All right. Well, let me introduce the crew over here from Start Garden. At the very end is Rick DeVos, the founder, CEO of Start Garden. He
Obligatory clap, everyone.
You're all invited to Art Prize in a few weeks. Next to him is Benjamin Gott, who is the entrepreneur in residence. The entrepreneur part of the entrepreneur in residence is that Ben's business is called Boxed Water. And he's very insightful and deeply entrenched in a business that is growing rapidly, and they're looking toward things like mergers and acquisitions. He's basically, in short, 2 or 3 years maybe in front of some of these presenters here tonight. And next to him is, you can argue, it's okay, Kim Clapp. Kim Clapp is our connector for all of these teams and the broader ecosystem of Grand Rapids, the business community, the mentors, the advisors. She is sort of the hub. I think I called you a...
Don't do it.
I won't.
Don't.
Okay.
Wasn't that funny?
She's like the internet. Okay. And lastly, Mike Morin is sitting closest to me. Mike Morin is a seasoned entrepreneur and investor, and very wizened as far as how to grow startups and searching for potential exits. An exit being a point where an investor can cash out of the company that the investor has invested in. So, anybody want to say anything, or should we just roll right into it?
Let's go.
Is that my cue, Paul? No, I think
Subtle.
I said this last time, but it's probably good just to reiterate it, that everybody that is here that presented deserves a round of applause. Again. We fully expect the vast majority of these $5,000 investments to actually not continue. That's just how the math works on this. This is all about discovery. This is all about experimentation. So that is perfectly all right, and it's not a personal judgment. It's not because somebody didn't present as well as they could have or something. It's really us looking at the opportunity and evaluating kind of big picture, our opinions of kind of where things are going and what opportunities we see with each of these projects. So I think that's just the best way to kind of start this off.
Yeah. Yes. Okay, so we're going to start off. This is actually the order in which the companies were, in which we invested in the companies as Stark Garden. So the one shift in the presentations tonight is that GR Greens will go after Intuani. Everything else will be in the order that they presented. All right. So, hey, that's their names. Intuani.
All right, so first of all, we want to say that, just give you props because you shared the data, which I know you thought wasn't completely positive, and it's awesome that you did that because it's super important to look at that from an objective point of view and really see where your idea, your business is at. We actually think that Net20 can be a great lifestyle business for the N20 team itself. The $5,000 project, it did get some positive anecdotal feedback, but sales weren't generated through the experiment. So the fashion industry in general, that market is, what do we say, it's super... Irrational.
Yes.
Yes.
In a good way, in a very
irrational in a good way. It's lots of creativity, can flow through that, but the success of that is really, the proof of that is in sales. So having said that, Stark Garden will not pursue further investment with N20.
All right. Well, let's thank Brandy Washington. All right. Next up is GR Greens.
So, GR Greens is interesting. How many people in the room here have somehow interacted with restaurants that are serving locally grown produce or organic food or, different, yeah, raise your hand. Yeah. So this is a fascinating space for us, and we're seeing a lot of opportunities around this. So there's this whole emerging agriculture thing, local agriculture. We think experimentation is interesting. Especially interesting to us is the technology that's being used. So there's a lot of new technologies that are emerging, in this space, and it has some potential, but it needs to be able to scale. So it was interesting, hearing the information back tonight, regarding what has happened with GR Greens in terms of, as he said, it's a difficult business. Farming is capital intensive, and whether you're doing vertical farming or traditional farming, you know, the dynamics are pretty much the same. It's labor intensive, it's capital intensive, and you know, it tends to generate, if you do it successfully, cash flow, but it's a difficult business to fund via equity capital because there's just not a lot of ways to get out of the business. So, you know, we applaud what you're doing. We think the technology is interesting. You should continue pursuing it. But at this point, our answer on this is no. We're not going to continue funding GR Greens. But you know, we would encourage all of you to continue engaging with that movement and with what's happening there.
I'm going to ask a couple questions real quick. Equity capital and
Yeah.
getting out of it. Could you just dive into that a little bit?
Yeah, I can. So when we start talking about, you know, there's different types of financing. You know, you can borrow money from a bank, you can get money from family that they really don't care if they ever get back. Or if you're working with somebody like Start Garden, you know, we're putting investments into businesses that at some point we're needing to get a return on that money, and we need some way for that money to come back out of the business. And so just because we don't choose to further invest in something doesn't mean it's not a great business. It can be a great business that's going to throw off, you know, good profit for the person who's starting the business, but for us, we've got to see some way to get a return. And so in a fund like Start Garden, you know, even though we're looking at a relatively long horizon, maybe 7 to 10 years to get the money back, it still needs to be businesses that, you know, when you're looking at equity that are going to provide, you know, some sort of exit and return at some point.
Yeah. No, I think so. In fact, it just occurred to me. I think a great point is that at the $5,000 level, what we're looking for is somebody just run off and do an experiment and basically do with your actions what you might propose doing in a 40-page business plan. We're not interested so much in the business plan as in what can you really do in 2 or 3 months. This is probably the event where we really start having serious conversations about what you were just talking about, which is if we put investment in, how do you get back out?
Yeah.
Would you guys agree with that? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. So anyway, but please, let's give a hand to GR Greens for the hard work. All right, Sing Song Yoga.
All right, Sing Song Yoga. So Sing Song Yoga continues to get great market validation, both from consumers and partners. They started with some revenue, and revenue continues to grow, which is a good thing. We also like the fact that they're in a couple of markets, broad markets, that being children and yoga. And to that point, people love spending their money on good health and yoga, and their kids, sorry. So, yeah, the other thing is that a portion of the go-to-market plan for Sing Song Yoga is direct to consumer. So some of the online, some of the SEO testing that was done provided some really solid feedback for that. And we also see some opportunities for product extensions, and they can create revenue as well. So having said all of that, Start Garden would like to invest $20,000
You said interesting because it's direct to consumer. Could you guys elaborate a little bit on why direct to consumer is interesting?
You want to elaborate?
Go ahead.
Go ahead. You know, we were able to have a. Am I on here? No? Yes?
Oh, faulty mic. Grab Kim's mic.
I can do it.
Go for it.
Well, you can add in.
Well, I'm just going to say
Yeah, well, so we did connect Deb with a partner, School Zone Publishing, actually, that has taken a lot of these kids' things to market. And really what they sort of pushed down the road of maybe not so much retail, digital downloads that makes it easier for the consumer to find those things directly, and that there's greater margin in those, and that's really the direction of where publishing is going. So it was solid feedback in that way. And having done that SEO testing with Jewel Leo, we did find that people are finding it. So when you add all of that up, it just makes good sense. Do you want to add anything? You can borrow my microphone.
No, I'm fine.
So this is Design a Dream.
That is my explanation. Yes, as I open up my notes. Thank you. What we like about Design a Dream is that it's really looking at a problem, which is the current dress fitting experience. From what I understand, and I've not witnessed this in person because I'm not supposed to, it involves oversized dresses and clamps and all sorts of stuff like that. So it's addressing, a non-ideal experience and trying to create a better experience. And this whole idea of creating semi-custom products. You can look across all sorts of industries and products and see where companies have been able to come in and provide a level of customization at a price point that is still accessible to a large number of people, and it creates a much better experience. So we like that. We like that the entrepreneur is really engaged in this industry, has a lot of experience around it. So our decision is to invest $20,000 in Design.
And also fantastic presentation.
Yeah, no doubt.
No, it's not supposed to sound like that. No, I really thought it was fantastic.
It just helped. It helped click with what the experience is. How you can create these sort of low fidelity prototypes, and how that could be an experience that you could see it existing in lots of different places. And yeah,
I'm kind of here to hold the team's feet to the flames a little bit. 2 apparel shops in Tawani and Design a Dream. What's the difference?
I think it comes back to the re-architecting of the experience in a particular niche that the entrepreneur has a lot of experience in, and that so it's manageable and enterable. I don't know if you guys have things.
Oh, you there, Kim? Yeah. No, you're not. I will say one thing that. Shannon has a space, and she's been successfully designing and selling her gowns out of that space. So from there, she saw the opportunity to innovate the process with the brides that were coming in. And so, there's a slight difference in that way. But here, you can use my microphone. I'm done.
Yeah, thank you. So what I would say is interesting about both of those, and I think what we're seeing in the market in general, is this unbelievable blurring of what's a product and what's a service. So there were a couple experiments done, and I think they were both fascinating. But I think that's where it becomes interesting, and where there's this multiplier on the value of, if it's just a product, if it's just another dress or pair of pants or fashion or whatever it is that's your take on fashion. That's one thing, but when you start wrapping a service around it, like being able to add your sizes or changing the way people do it, or in the case of Design a Dream, where you're really changing that experience and you're really tapping into the emotional aspects of this, I think it gets interesting. And so I think the difference was when we look at them, these are experiments. One experiment, it proved that there was value and there were things there, and in the other one there was question whether that was a value proposition or not. So I applaud both presentations, but I think the interesting thing there is that blurring of service and product.
All right. Thank you, Design a Dream. Next up is Regular Coffee.
Regular Coffee. It's interesting because I got to connect with Kurt so early on this one. Our excitement for the project, is the same as when you pitched it initially. It's ambitious, but what you did with Rousters as a brand, or Roasters, depending on how you'd like to say it, it's pretty impressive, and you're kind of taking some of that brand building. I mean, for one place, you've got, and you heard people tonight actually cheer for you when you mentioned that brand. What you've done for that brand, you're going to do, I think, with Regular Coffee, but with some more scalability to it, which is the whole point of this thing, which is great. You ran into some issues with getting your experiment done in time for the update night, which is just timing and production, which is how things go sometimes. So right now you're a maybe later, but what's fascinating, and I don't think you mentioned it in your update, is that you have a Kickstarter that's launching. Is it today?
It takes 2 days to get
approved and all that kind of stuff. So it's effectively in the next week. You've got a Kickstarter, and you're going to know what's that.
Please go sign up.
Yeah, absolutely. Please sign up. And you're going to know really soon, probably within the next 2 weeks, how this thing's going to go. So we want to have a meeting with you pretty much immediately after that launches to see how things are going, because we're really excited about the project still.
Yep.
And the design is fantastic as well. So.
All right. The 300-pound reindeer in the room. Reindeer
I
cam.
get to do this one as well. Another product plug. Thank you so much. What can I say? This project makes me laugh every time it's brought up. Yeah, I mean, but in the best way. We find it so charming as a team. We really do. When you guys came in, I'm not going to say avant-garde, but it's definitely a left field idea, and we're huge fans of that. No, we really are. I mean, we really are huge fans of that kind of stuff. And we're also super surprised at some of the initial numbers that we didn't know about from your first year, and your ambition to just say, let's give this thing a try. I believe you guys, you came up with the concept how many days before Christmas your first year? 8 weeks. 8 weeks, okay. So, unbelievable, honestly, it really is.
At that point.
Yeah, I don't even think you guys had reindeer at that point. I don't think they did. So as we mentioned, too, in some of our first meetings, and I want to clarify some of our passion for this idea, I don't think anybody would have thought that flinging via slingshot a bird at a snarky pig would equal 1 billion downloads, and that game is actually played when it first launched more than TV was watched cumulatively, because they have metrics on that. Angry Birds is actually bizarrely similar in its premise to what you guys are up to, and kind of franchising out something that's just a really kind of enjoyable process and all that. So you have traction, you have revenue, and you have some new ideas. So our answer for your project is a yes at the 20K level. I have more. But you guys have a really short timeline, realistically, from a business standpoint, before the holiday season kicks in. So you have some ideas you'd like to test on bringing in new revenue. Your metrics that you presented tonight, we think they're great. And we can't wait to see around the first of the year where things are at from there. I know you guys have a lot of work ahead of you, and we're stoked, and we're happy to have you part of the team.
All right. I know somebody in the audience is wondering why. It's reindeer. It's a live stream video. Twice a day, Santa comes out and feeds them. Come on.
I can actually, there's probably some other things. The reality is like the numbers are quite, the numbers,
compelling.
They're very compelling numbers. And the reason why I brought up the Angry Birds bit is because if someone came up and pitched Angry Birds before it launched 2 years ago or 3 years ago, they would have looked totally silly. And a lot of businesses look, in fact, I have a huge thing. Boxwater is a great example. We thought there was a way to do this better. It looks totally irrational when you're starting it. A lot of businesses look totally silly when you're getting them started. Yeah. But that's why it takes entrepreneurs with a bit of guts to go pursue things. So while this may have a lot of comedy around the idea, and you guys showed up really late too, which kind of freaked us out, but this is what, if it was easy and there was a formula, we'd all be entrepreneurs, and it's not that way. It's risky, it's weird, it's irrational, and that's what venture capital is about to a certain extent.
Yeah, and Rick has said this many times, and so I'll jump in because we all resonate with it. We don't necessarily know where the next great idea is going to come from, and traditional venture capital has a few guys sitting on the other side of a table with people pitching stuff, pretending that they can guess what the future is. And I think the reality is we don't know. And, anybody else in the room launched a website in 8 weeks that drove over 1 million users? Not me. I've launched stuff. So so there's clearly something intriguing about this. And so I think those types of experiments warrant some additional effort to see where they go. And how exactly are they going to monetize it? And is it going to turn out in those exact? We don't know. But it's interesting and it's intriguing, and that's certainly a good foundation for something that engages the public.
All right. So finally, to close the evening out, the school, which you can find at theschoolrocks.com, by the way.
Schoolrocks.com, and some of you went through some of that content yesterday. And again, thanks to Jose for coming in town and
yes, thank you.
And representing the West Coast here in what used to be called flyover country. So we're working on that. So what's interesting is that Jose, you're clearly a solid leader, and normally in these we avoid trying to get overly personal and addressing people, but this business is really about you in a lot of ways. And you know, as you were advised by some of your counselors early, you know, you've worked hard to build a reputation and a persona around you, and you've been able to successfully leverage that with kind of your proximate, you know, relational network to, you know, to drive some revenue. And the content is quality. You know, the people that were there last night probably know it's quality content, and as you could see from the presentation tonight. You know, but the content it's original in that it takes on the flavor and perspective of you, but it's not content that we would necessarily consider proprietary, in that there's, you know, different processes out there that people are using, and it's proprietary in that it's got your spin on it, but, you know, there's a lot of different tools and processes that are used in that space. You know, I would compare it to things that are in the human-centered design space right now, where people are putting their spin on it, but it really surrounds you. The market you're addressing, entrepreneurs, you know, while it's broad, is also scattered and doesn't necessarily have really clear, direct channels to reach it. But on the other hand, honestly, I think the likelihood of you generating a lot of capital with this, you know, a lot of money, not capital, a lot of revenue is great. I think you're gonna make money doing this. Whether this business is investable with equity, I'm not totally sure. So, you know, at this point for us, this is a maybe later. We want to stay in touch with you. We want to see how the traction on the website goes. And we also want to track with you to see if somehow this content, you know, over time can extend beyond your persona to be something that, you know, that's licensable, that you know, that has other revenue channels that aren't necessarily tied. But, you know, are we expecting you to succeed at this? Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, we had him here doing some presentations yesterday. Would we encourage, you know, people that are looking at starting things and engaging that process to go through the content? We would, and we don't necessarily say that about everything. So
yeah,
maybe
we
later.
would love to have Jose back, I think, to do some of the classes we're going. Before you guys applaud, I want to jump in though, because we have instructional videos for yoga and instructional videos for web design. So what's the difference?
So, anybody else want to answer this? Does anybody here know the difference between web design and yoga?
Okay,
I'm just checking to see if I know.
You know what I'm saying.
I know what you're saying. So there's a lot of interesting things going on the internet now in terms of monetization of content, to use that word very generically. You know, whether that content is a video about yoga or, you know, instructional stuff regarding the standard process, which I think is funny that you've coined the standard process, by the way, because I'm not necessarily sure that it's standard, but you're doing a good job of convincing people that it is. Great job. You know, and it could be cartoons. You know, we've got some ties through some stuff in New York that does really creative licensable cartoons. And so, you know, but each of those content types is going to different audiences. Some of those are broad, some of those are narrow. Some of them are really niche-y, some of them are really generic. And so, you know, when we're looking at these two, even though they both appear to be content, you know, I see Jose's as being, you know, kind of more specialized educational content, and I see Deb's as being, you know, more general, that are going after two very broad audiences. You know, so you're going after, you know, you've got yoga and children. Those are massive audience, and there's channels that are clear to those audiences. I think your audience is emerging, Jose, you know, and you know, there's more stuff going on. You know, entrepreneur is kind of the most overused word in the last 2 years, so we're trying to figure out what that means. But you know, I think that's what it gets down to when we're looking at these things that we call content plays. It's, you know, how are you going to reach the audience? What's the value proposition? You know, is the value in the content itself, or are there other factors that are influencing it? And you know, and how are you going to monetize it? You know, we don't particularly care for, you know, I mean, as I'm speaking for the group, when somebody has content that they're going to try to monetize via, say, advertising, versus people actually paying for the value of the content. And in these cases, I like both of these because people are paying for the value of the content. It's you know, it's real business. But I don't know if I answered your question, Paul, but at least some background.
There's deeper explanation. Yeah, I think.
Wait, any other questions?
I don't. I guess. Yeah. I think I can let it go. Questions?
Any questions?
Was there? Okay.
One comment though.
All right.
Lynda.com is an $80 million business.
That what?
Lynda.com, which is
yeah. Funded.
Good one.
Funded.
Lynda.com is
Right. Zero. Right. So $80 million business, but
With zero funding.
with zero funding.
This
which
is
was,
but real quick, the lynda.com instructional website for largely web engineers?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah.
Okay, $80 million
well,
business a year.
web
Yeah.
across the spectrum. But to my point, do I think you could make a lot of money? Yeah. Whether Lynda could sell lynda.com or not, I don't know.
All right.
Yeah, that comes back to the earlier discussion about like what's like really a venture investable company too, and how can we as investors get a return? So again, it's a maybe later, which might be maybe soon. So yeah.
All right. So that concludes. the feedback portion. So that's pretty much the end of the evening. Reminder, my super awesome September 14th graphic that you saw earlier. You can go to startgarden.com/events and RSVP for any of those September 14th events. You can pop in, pop out. You don't have to spend the whole day there. It's structured to be casual. And this event will happen in 1 month on September 27th at 50 Lewis. Next month's update night, 9 or 10 more projects will be here. What?
New space.
In the new space. Yes. So thank you. Have a good night.